Greetings, YouTube. The doctor is in. Dr. Urias Papers here, coming at you with another commentary on Dungeons and Dragons. And today on the Doctor Spell Prognosis, we are going to be talking about the spell Weird. This is a 9th level spell that is usable by wizards, although bards could pick this up. We are giving this spell a C. It's not, in my honest opinion, I don't really see this particular spell at the 9th level power range. I don't see it there. It doesn't really meet the muster for something that should be a 9th level spell. There have been several of the 9th level spells that we've gone over that don't meet that kind of power range or power level, and this is definitely one of them. This is also our second to last spell before we have gone over every single spell that is on D&D Beyond. Well, we didn't do a lot of the Matt Mercer specials, but we've done quite a bit. All right, so let's get into Weird. Weird is a 9th level spell usable by wizards. Again, bards can pick it up with magical secrets. 1 action casting time, range of 120 feet with an area of a 30-foot radius, verbal and somatic components. It lasts for a minute, requires duration. You do want to concentrate on this spell. It is the School of Illusion. I'm picking that out for a very specific reason. We'll talk about that. Drawing on the deepest fears of a group of creatures, you create illusory creatures in their minds, visible only to them. Each creature in a 30-foot radius centered on a point of your choice within range, which is 120 feet, must make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, a creature becomes frightened. So what is the frightened for the duration? So what is the frightened condition is disadvantage on ability checks and attack rolls while the source of the fear is within line of sight, and the creature cannot willingly move closer to the source of its fear for the duration. The illusion calls on the creature's deepest fears, manifesting its worst nightmares as an implacable threat. So that's just a bunch of flavor. There's a lot of flavor text in this spell. And that's one of the biggest problems with this spell. At the end of each of the frightened creature's turns, it must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or take 4d10 psychic damage, which is on average 22 psychic damage. On a successful save, the spell ends for that creature. Okay, so pros and cons. Pro, it is a good range. 120 feet is a great range. That is one of the longest ranges in the game. Good radius. So everything within a 30-foot radius gets whacked. Now, that's good and bad. That's a big radius. It's very wide. It could affect your allies as well, and that's a problem. Frightened is a decent condition, but I don't think it meets the muster for a 9th level spell. Fear is a cone. So if we look at that spell here, Fear is a, I can't remember what level. Oh, it's not a 9th level spell, that's for sure. Fear is, there's Cause Fear and there's Fear. Cause Fear affects one target, except you can affect one additional target for each slot above 1st level, and it's a necromancy spell with a wisdom saving throw as well. So it's the same. And so and all the creatures have to be within 30 feet of the target, or for you to target them, okay? So you can affect 1 creature at 1st level, 2 at 2nd level, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 creatures. So you're probably not going to have more than 9 creatures. I mean, the odds are you're not. So the Weird offers a 30-foot radius, which can get a bunch of creatures. I contest that Cause Fear probably can get almost as many. Fear is a 30-foot cone. Now, you do have to be within 30 feet of the creatures, but again, both of these last for a minute, and their concentration. They get to make that saving throw again at the end of their turn. And Fear, a 3rd level spell, which cannot be upcast, but it affects everything in a 30-foot cone, lasts for a minute, and they have to take the dash action on their turn to move away. So that's a little bit different with this. The big thing about this one is it's not a necromancy spell. It's not an enchantment spell. and it does damage when they fail their save. If they make their save, then a spell ends. And so I would think that this spell would be a little bit lower level, or there would be more damage or a different effect. Okay, so it does damage. That's kind of it does damage every round. Remember, most combats only last 3 or 4 rounds, so it's only going to do somewhere between, if it lasts for 3 rounds, 66 points to 88 points. Okay, some cons. It's a concentration spell, so if you lose concentration, then everything that was frightened is done. It's low damage, in my opinion, and the frightened condition doesn't meet the muster for a 9th level spell. And then there's too much flavor in here and not enough power. Too much flavor, text, and not way too little power levels in this. So, again, comparing, if I'm going to try and fear things, I would much rather just cast Cause Fear and then maybe move away, or I would just cast Cause Fear at a higher level. I cast Fear or Cause Fear, but there are better spells than this in the 9th level range. Here are all the 9th level spells. You got Blade of Disaster. You've got Mass Polymorph. So if you're going to affect a massive amount of things to end a combat, because Fear doesn't necessarily end combat if you got a bunch of things that have ranged attacks. Mass Polymorph, they're all frogs, you're done. Meteor Swarm, obviously something you would take. I mean, you're only getting 1 slot for a 9th level spell. Prismatic Wall, Psychic Scream, there's another good one. This does psychic damage. It does more psychic damage, and they're stunned. And it's instantaneous, and they're stunned until they make the save. So, and it's an intelligence save instead. Now, it is enchantment, and things can be immune to enchantment spells, but it is that. Time Stop is a good one. So, also in addition, the hold spells. So we've got Hold Person and Hold Monster. So these have conditions that are way worse than just being frightened and taking a little bit of damage every round. Now, one thing about this is it is psychic damage, and very few things are resistant to psychic damage. So I will give it that. It is the School of Illusion. So there are not, I mean, it doesn't really say anything in here if they're immune to illusions, then, or they got True Sight or anything, then they're immune to this. But some things are immune to enchantment spells, so that can be a problem for Hold Persons or Cause Fear or things like that with enchantments, and some things are not affected by fear. So this is kind of superior in certain ways, but with Hold Person, it's usable by a whole bunch of different classes, not just wizards, and you can upcast this to affect more than one humanoid. So if you got a whole bunch of humanoids, why not cast Hold Person at a higher level and affect all of them? They all have to be within 30 feet of each other, but they're paralyzed, which is a horrible condition, and it's also a wisdom save, and it lasts for a minute, very similar to Weird. Hold Monster, again, Hold Monster, it affects everything. And they're paralyzed. It's a wisdom saving throw, and it lasts for a minute with concentration. They still have to be within 30 feet of each other, but you still can affect a whole bunch of different stuff at once, and being paralyzed is horrible. Horrible. It's incapacitated. It can't move or speak, which means it can't take actions because it's incapacitated. It automatically fails strength and dex saves, and attacks against the creature have advantage in any hit. Is a crit if they're within 5 feet, and there's nothing they can do. They do not get another save if they get hit. What wizard class would I pick? Probably Divination, because I can make something fail this saving throw a couple of times. But again, I feel that this spell is probably like a 7th level spell, maybe 8th level at the most, but definitely not 9th. I don't feel that this is a 9th level spell at all. So that's kind of why I'm giving it a C. All right. That is all I got for everybody today. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I will catch everybody later.